Reproductive rights are one of the most critical issues for women across America this election season. On one piece of the discussion, moms across the country say we're not talking enough about protections for paid family leave for mothers of stillborn babies. A majority of states across the country will revoke maternity leave if a baby is born still. It's of course a horrible situation that at least 20,000 mothers find themselves in every single year. But there is an effort underway in some states to change that. A bill in New York State has made it through the legislature but is now stalled. The bill would allow mothers who give birth to stillborn babies to take their already approved leave to recover mentally and physically from the loss of their child. After negotiations on the New York bill have gone cold, moms are rallying this week in Albany, New York to bring attention to the bill in hopes of seeing it become law this year. Joining us to discuss this fight further is mom, attorney, and advocate Cassidy Perrone. She lost her own daughter, Olivia, to stillbirth, and as she was planning her daughter's funeral, she was told her maternity leave was revoked by the state of New York because maternity leave is legally supposed to be a time for a mother and child to bond. And if a baby is not alive, the time is not legally required. Cassidy, thank you so much for joining us to discuss. Will you take us back to that time for you and your husband and talk about it's not only the emotional, but it's a physical and financial strain that families are enduring because of what seems like a loophole in the paid family leave law?
Thank you. Yes, Alexa, this is such a dangerous loophole. My husband and I, when we found out that our daughter had passed, we still had to go through at 36 weeks a full labor process. And as a result, a week after she passed and 17 hours of labor, we found out from the state of New York that they were revoking my previously approved leave. And therefore, I would have to either go back to work or accept, instead of $1,100 a week in my paid leave that I paid into for years, I would have to accept $170 a week of temporary disability, which, as the primary breadwinner, we could not afford.
And will you talk a little bit about how that's fueled the activism work that you do now in pushing for a new law that would protect moms from going through what you and your husband had to endure?
Yes, after receiving the phone call from the state of New York asking me to either voluntarily revoke my leave or for them to revoke it without my consent, I realized that if I didn't speak up, nobody else was going to do that. At this point in time, you're experiencing the same postpartum effects as any other mother. You're feeling things that whether your baby lives or dies, your body does. And it is an excruciating amount of pain, both mental and physical. And we have to make sure that every mom is protected in that very vulnerable period of time in the first 6-week postpartum. My doctor indicated that she could not medically clear me to go back to work, whether my daughter Olivia had lived or died. So I had to take the time to heal my body and make sure that I was protected without New York State deeming me a mother. And that I have to make sure that in any other stillbirth mother's life that goes forward after this, that they will not experience that cruel and inhumane treatment that I received in my nightmare.
And will you talk about the law that's up for debate right now that's kind of been held up? Will you talk about what it would do and briefly talk about, you know, what's going on to stall this? Because it seems like it would be a no-brainer.
Absolutely. We have for the past 2 years been fighting to just simply tell New York that they cannot take back your paid family leave that's been previously approved and paid into out of your paycheck. If your baby dies, you should still receive that because of the risk of maternal mortality and the medical necessity of this leave. Men are still able to, or non-birthing persons, take the leave even if their baby dies because a woman's postpartum period is deemed a serious medical condition, yet our leave is being revoked. So our bill, A2880, would prevent New York from being able to take that leave from you if your baby dies either prior as a stillbirth. Therefore, if we were to pass this bill, what happened to me would not happen. But unfortunately, although we have unanimously passed this bill in the Senate, the Assembly leadership has failed to bring it to a vote when we have over 101 co-sponsors. So the bill would pass, but we have no reasonable answer as to why this is not being brought to a vote at this time.
Well, hopefully you will get those answers. I know you and a bunch of other advocates and groups are going to rally in Albany at the state capitol on Thursday afternoon. So we'll be following along with your journey. Attorney and activist Cassidy Perrone, thank you so much for your insight on this important topic.
Thank you.